assisted and led by our content advisors and the researchers. But before we get underway, let's check with the Secretariat if there's any apologies. Mamukakaza, good morning.
Morning, Chair. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
Thank you,
Any
Chair.
apologies on your end?
Thank you, Chair. Morning, members and the colleagues. The only apology that I have, Chair, is from Mamu Prietz. She will be having challenges the connectivity to today's meeting. Thank you, Chair.
You didn't buy airtime for her.
I'm not sure.
Manyamza, unjani khati?
Aphila kaTsengo sunjani wena?
Aphila nathi ngelengela kabikho. Any apologies on your end?
Thank you. From the ministry has apologized to Chair, Minister and two deputy ministers for not being able to attend this meeting, and the DG is abroad on official duty, on an official duty. He has sent a delegation to this meeting, and MP Motwedi is also not able to connect, but he will keep on trying. Thank you, Chair.
The ministry is abroad with the DG, or what is the apology for?
The minister is attending the cabinet committee, Chair.
Yes.
The DG is abroad, Chair.
And the deputy ministers?
All of them, Chair.
All of them are abroad.
No, Chair, it's only abroad.
Eh?
It's only DG who is abroad, Chair. Otherwise,
so where
the
the
ministry
deputy
is...
ministers?
Chair?
Yes.
The ministry was not invited to this meeting because it's a committee meeting. We are considering the committee.
But then don't tender apologies for people that are
because
not
they were
because
they were sent to us, Chair.
No, this is why, honorable members, the context, the invitations were extended. So it's good to clarify that this is a closed meeting of the committee, because we are looking into our BRRR report, which we are the authors of from the meetings that we have had, so that we can be able to fully engage if the BRRR report is a true reflection of the meetings that we had, and if honorable members are satisfied with that. With that said, honorable members, I'm gonna invite Dr. Manenje and Mam Gashe to take the platform and lead us BRRR report and its entities, including the meeting we had with the Auditor General of South Africa.
Good morning, Chairperson and members.
Good morning. How are you?
No, we are surviving.
Very well.
Thank you. Ms. Nkache will lead in this report, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mam Nkache, kunjani namhlanje?
Good morning, Chair and members. And Ndiyaphila inkosi Sihlalo. Kunjani kuwe?
Hayi siyaphila nathi kabi khona. You may proceed.
As Chairperson has indicated, this budgetary review draft budgetary review and recommendation report emanates from the work of the committee in the entire year, that is 2021-2022, that ended in March this year, and also includes the briefings that the committee held in the past weeks with the AG, the departments and its entities. So the report, it's not different from previous reports that the committee has considered. The page 1 is mainly the introduction. So members, I will go page to page and then focus on the observations for members' inputs. Page 2 is just the background document, also background information on what the report is about, and also what the committee is supposed to look for when dealing with department annual reports and other reports and oversight activities. This is a brief summary of what the committee did in the past financial year towards the production of the reports, and that also includes oversight to the Eastern Cape. The key policy focus areas for the country that the department contributes to, including the department's priorities for the medium-term strategic framework, the department's program and key policy developments to which the department service delivery programs are contributing or are directed by, and amongst these is the latest agriculture and agro processing master plan that has been recently finalized. So that's one of the key plans that the committee has to oversee. In terms of the overview and assessment of the expenditure and service delivery in terms of planned targets, I will just go through or explain that everything is summarized in the table in terms of expenditure in the year under review, which is 2021-2022, the department was appropriated 18 billion rands and spent 16.9 billion, which is approximately 94% of the total appropriation, with the administration program spending 100%, and the land administration and program 5, economic development, trade and marketing, being the lower spenders for the year under review. The department incurred irregular expenditure of 208.7 million. Which is mostly historic from both the former DAF and Dr. DLR. I'd also like to highlight that the AG also mentioned that there is also an amount of 33.6 million that is still under assessment for as irregular expenditure in respect of non-compliance with policies under land acquisition. Fruitless expenditure, although slightly less than the previous year, it's significant nonetheless at 36 million. And also with fruitless and wasteful expenditure, there's an amount of 56.6 million that the AG explained that it was still under assessment, so is not included in the 36 million. In terms of targets, the department achieved 30 targets out of a planned 50. That's about 60%, with land administration only achieving 1 target out of 4. And food security, land reform and restitution, the program that receives the largest budget amount, and also that is very central and key to the department's mandate, only achieving 6 out of a total of 13 targets. That's 46%. And administration, similarly to previous years, 1 out of 2, the main non-achievement being on the payment of suppliers within 30 days under administration. Program 5 also regressed in terms of performance, only achieving half of the planned 12 targets. And members should also note in this last column that the expenditure is also not aligned or proportional to achievement of service delivery targets, which is an issue that has been previously raised by members. In this respect, I am not going to go into detail into programs. This is just a summary of what was presented, what's in the annual report, what the committee discussed during the briefings. I'll just highlight in terms of budget and expenditure for for each program. Administration has already alluded to spend 100% across all sub-programs. Program 2, which is agricultural production, biosecurity, and natural resource management, spend 98.5%. And under expenditure was mainly under the plant production and health, and also the biosecurity program. In this case, I would just like to highlight that members will recall biosecurity sub-program didn't get an allocation in the past years. So it's the first time that it received some budgetary allocation. Program 3, as indicated, spent 92.6% of its appropriated budget, but mainly achieved 46% of the targets. Under expenditure, which is something that was a concern and raised by members, was largely under food security. And this was in respect of the PESI program, which also led to the department getting a qualified audit opinion from the AG. Rural development spent 92.6%. And under expenditure was mainly under rural infrastructure development. Program 5, economic development, trade and marketing, spent 80.9%. With under expenditure under national, international relations and trade, and also agro processing. Just to highlight here that the department seems to be struggling with expenditure under the agro-processing, marketing, and rural industrial development sub-program, which also supports FPSUs. The last program, land administration, spent 87.9%, with under expenditure mostly under the spatial planning and land use sub-program and national geomatics management services. The report of the audit, the committee will recall that the department also had an audit committee that works closely, it's independent, but works closely with the department's internal audit unit. The audit committee raised significant control deficiencies, which were noted in the areas as listed above: ICT records management, financial management, project and contract management, as well as management of fraud, corruption, misconduct, irregularities, and mismanagement. These are also issues that have been repeatedly raised by the Auditor General. Also, the audit committee raised issues in terms of risk and fraud management systems within the department. The report of the AG, as members recall, the department received a qualified audit opinion in the year under review, a regression from previous years. And this qualification, as already indicated, was in respect of the Presidential Employment Stimulus Initiative. The emphasis of matter and the repeat findings are similar to previous years, which probably indicates that the department's audit action plan was not responsive to the challenges or was not efficiently implemented. Although the amounts varies, but similar findings were raised by the AG in the previous year in terms of non-compliance with legislation, lack of consequence management, annual financial statements that have misstatements, and also procurement and contract management. In terms of useless and reliability of reported performance information, the AG looked into one program, that's program 3, which was the case in the previous year as well. And they did not raise any material findings on the usefulness and reliability of the information, for which the department is commended because most of the activities under program 3 are performed by provinces. AG also highlighted deficiencies in internal controls in terms of management not implementing what they are supposed to do in terms of the PFMA. There is the long-standing report that the AG has been reporting into. It's an SIU investigation into the affairs of the Comprehensive Agricultural Support Program, CASP. The outcome of the report was still pending at the time of the AXA's report, which was the end of July this year. Most of the issues here in the discussion is just a summary, just highlighting the misalignment between the department's expenditure and achievement of service delivery targets, particularly the underspending under the PACE program, which is supposed to address food insecurity. Also, it was noted that the department reported that for the year under review, they did not have a service delivery improvement plan, which is usually an annual requirement. The primary reason being that the DPSA declared 21-22 financial year as a gap year, whatever that means. Also highlighted was critical work in terms of policy and legislative development. In this case is the long outstanding communal land tenure bill, and also as highlighted by the board of the PPECB, the perishable export control bill, and lastly, the marketing of agricultural products amendment bill. For the second year in a row, the bill could not be finalized due to delays in getting a legal opinion from the chief state law advisor. The ARC again get a qualified opinion for the 6th consecutive year. What to highlight here is the fact that as much as the previous qualifications on the ARC were in respect of property, plants and equipment, the AG in the year under review also reported additional qualification areas in terms of depreciation and amortization, irregular expenditure, as well as contingencies. And of course, the committee was not pleased with the lack of improvement and further regression in the entity's audit outcomes. The OBP in the year under review, as the AG reported, the OBP received clean audit on financial statements. That is an unqualified audit without material findings on financial statements, but in performance information, it received an unqualified audit with material findings, and the findings were in respect of the program 2, which is continuous improvement of business processes for the indicator improved production efficiency index. For the indicator, the AG finding was that source information, evidence, and method of calculation was not clearly defined for the indicator. The committee in respect of OPP was also worried with the poor performance, which was 48% of the planned performance. And this was mostly attributed to equipment breakdowns and also the delays in the construction or finalization of the good manufacturing practice facility. Additionally, members, as the OPP had a fairly high vacancy rate of 29%, almost 3 times the requirement or allowable 10%. Most of the targets that were not achieved were also related to human resources. And also members will recall that the OPP for the 2nd year or 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken, also did not have an HR manager. And it's the NAMC, there was no improvement in terms of audit outcomes. It received an unqualified audit opinion with findings in the prior year, and it was the same in the year under review. And the findings were also repeat in respect of non-compliance with legislation, PFMA, treasury regulations, particularly in respect of supply chain management. The PPECB clean audit in terms of clean audit from the independent auditor, which is not AG, and also 100% achievement of plan targets for the year under review. And lastly, SAVEC, which is a statutory body that regulates the veterinary and para-veterinary professions. Also received an unqualified audit opinion with 100% achievement of planned audits. Oh, sorry, planned targets. The commission I think my colleague will highlight the key issues in terms of the commission, but it reported compliance with the constitutional court order regarding the filing of reports on a 6-monthly basis. In terms of service delivery, the commission exceeded most of the targets in terms of settlement and finalization of land claims. Also has a vacancy rate of 11%, slightly more than 10%. And except for the position of the Deputy Land Claims Commissioner, all the senior management posts were filled in the commission. The Office of the Valuer General also received an unqualified audit with no unauthorized expenditure under the financial year. ITB, the ITB received an unqualified audit, the trust, the ITB received an unqualified audit opinion with findings on compliance to prescripts. And in respect of the ITB, as members will recall, the 2 critical areas of concern were the fact that the AG found that there were material misstatements of financial statements of the ITB, and there was lack of appropriate steps to prevent irregular expenditure. That's lack of consequence management. In terms of the trust received a qualification with respect to municipal property rates that were not fully accounted for. One other critical issue that was discussed is the subsidiary company of the Ingonyama Trust, that is Ingonyama Holdings. Apart from the fact that there were no financial statements for the Ingonyama Holdings, there were questions regarding the directorship and accountability of the trust and the role of the chairperson of the ITB. in the Ngonyama Holdings. The trading accounts for land reform is the agricultural land holding account ALA, and also the deeds registry account, which received the deeds received an unqualified audit opinion for the year under review. And ALA, a qualification again. No improvement. Committee findings and observations. Here, members, I think this is where most attention will go in respect of whether we have captured what the members have discussed. In terms of the department, chair and members, I would like to get guidance if I should just flight the observation or read it through. Oh, chairperson is on the phone. All right, the first observation.
You can fly.
Oh, okay. It's the regression in the department's audit outcomes, which led to a qualification due to poor expenditure management in respect of PESI funds. Thank you, Mehlape. So I will just go observation by observation, and then maybe when I'm through, then members can raise issues, or should we go one by one?
You deal with them all.
The second one is the performance in respect of service delivery targets, which was found to be stagnant, and also misalignment between expenditure and achievement, which remain oh, I think I'm load shedding now. My connection is unstable. I hope can hear me. 94% of the funds was spent, but only 60% of the targets achieved. Regression in performance across all the department programs, with the exception of program 2. Have been
Dr. Manenza, if you could help take over. We're struggling to hear Mem Ngasha.
Thank you.
Dr. Manenja, you may proceed.
Yes. May you please keep the report on Nogozol so I can refer to it?
Colleagues, can I suggest that maybe you text her because she might be speaking because she can't hear us from the side. That's just my suggestion.
I'll ask my colleagues to talk to her while I can't even share the screen, but I'll be talking in the meantime with regard to the recommendation. I think she was at recommendation number 2.
Observations?
Or was it still observations?
Yes.
Okay. Are you back, Noxol?
No, Dr. Manenja, she's not back. You may proceed.
Okay.
Maybe the Secretariat can just trace where she is if she's been able to come back. But in the meantime, please proceed.
Proceed. Yeah, I'm not able to move the report. But on the yes, so it said is observation 2. It was around performance in respect of service delivery targets, which the committee expressed those concerns that it was stagnant, and the fact that the expenditure was not proportional with to the performance targets, which is a major concern for the committee. And all the programs, the committee observed that there was misalignment in that regard. The next one is with regard to the audit improvement action plan. The concern was that the observation was it's either not effective in addressing the weaknesses that have been repeatedly flagged by the Auditor General, including the department's internal audit. It's either that lack of effectiveness, or in terms of implementation, it may not be appropriately implemented. So you have all these repeat findings, which have been highlighted as a major concern for the committee. Similarly, the Auditor General highlighting, those repeat findings in respect of Public Finance Management Act, the Treasury regulations. Again, as you can see, non-compliance with the SCM policies, and again, in most instances, the Auditor General also raises, issues with regard to consequence that appears that there's very little, if any, is being implemented. The fourth one, it's the observation around the inability of the department to effectively and adequately address Auditor General's findings, particularly of lack of consequence management for employee transgressions, both in terms of performance and revenue management. And that can we have the report back?
Manyamza, and we assist in flighting the presentation. Seems to have disappeared.
So the fourth one I was referring to was with regard to the inability of the department to address the Auditor General's findings, particularly when it makes reference to lack of consequence management for employee transgressions and in terms of revenue management. And this is evidenced by the increase in irregular expenditure and continuous incurring of fruitless and wasteful expenditure, which were largely due to non-compliance with SCM procedures. Colleagues, is it back now? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Then fifth one.
Presentation is not flighted yet.
It's not.
So yeah, if we can have assistance in that regard. But please continue, Dr. Manager.
The fifth one, there is lack of, or colleagues can make me be able to share from this side.
You can share, Dr. Manager, you are a co-host.
Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Maybe perhaps while we're trying to make Dr. Manager co-host, I'll ask the Secretariat, because you do have the report, please flight it and enable us to see it. And for us on the platform, we can follow the presentation from our other gadget as we are a bit challenged. Let's proceed.
Okay. Number 5, there is lack of, the committee observed that there is lack of urgency and poor response to the plight of destitute, subsistence and distressed smallholder farmers. This is illustrated by the reported reasons for underachievement in the implementation of farmer support programs, such as the Land Development Support Program and PESI. And these were the biggest contributor to the under expenditure in the year under review. And the reason for department's qualified audit opinion from AXA. So more concerning for the committee was the fact that the department has not learned from the implementation of the COVID-19 disaster fund, as similar findings were raised and recommendations made through the Auditor General's special report. The sixth observation was that despite a great need for comprehensive farmer support and access to markets for smallholder farmers, in particular, the department failed to comprehensively support 85 sorry. Sorry, just a moment. I just. Sorry, I'm just trying to, I see that I'm now the host. I'm trying to, can we all see that?
We can see it, yes.
Okay. But we were reading from the fifth one, and there's sixth observation. It was the failure to support 35 farmers, the FPSUs, to be able to be fully functional as planned. And these farmer production support units are expected to play central role to farmer support and access to market. However, under the year, which we are considering, which is 21-22, only 4 out of the planned 35 were supported to be fully functional. The other observation was that there were significant amount of monies that have been transferred to the land bank through Program 3 and Program 5 for producer support and development. However, it is Program 5 that has specific targets in terms of Mafisa and Agri-BEE Fund, which have been historically supported by the land bank. And despite previous requests for comprehensive reports on all funds transferred to the land bank, the reports have not been submitted. So this is where the report draws from previous engagement as well. The program of land reform has not been moving at a pace and direction anticipated. This is another observation. In spite of land reform being a priority and a core to the mandate of the department, it continues to struggle to meet the targets for allocation of land to the poor, particularly allocation of land to farm dwellers, labor tenants, women, and youth. You would have seen above that, although there was it met the target to acquire land, but when it comes to allocation to these vulnerable groups, the department fell short of meeting the expected targets. Equally important is the failure to meet the targets for finalization of labor tenant applications and the transfer of TRANCRA, which is transformation of certain rural areas, mostly in the Western Cape, Northern Cape, and partly Eastern Cape. The observation related to the labor tenants, it's where the committee is beginning to ask questions about the effectiveness of the SMLT, that is the Special Master for Labor Tenants, in overseeing the finalization of labor tenants application by the department. And the concern here really was around whether the department has made available the required resources in line with the court order. Sorry, I'm moving back and forward. The provision of post-settlement support to land reform beneficiaries through LDS appears to continue along the lines of the former Department of Rural Development Land Reform model, without integrating with other farmer development programs of the former DAF. So the observation here is that it is not, the committee can't see a comprehensive post-settlement and land development support, which is required for land reform to be successful. The observation, the next one, which is the 10th one, is the inability to meet the targets of the finalization of labor tenants application in spite of the Special Master for Labor Tenants to oversee the process, demonstrates the weak capacity to deal with Labor Tenant Act applications by the department. And this has come many times where the department says it doesn't have capacity. Further, the challenges outlined have been part of the diagnosis at the beginning of the SMLT work and could not be used to evade accountability as expected by both Parliament and the Land Claims Court. Whilst there is a push to finalize LT applications, there are no credible plans for provision of complementary support. And members may also think about some of the farms that they visited during the recent oversight, where members were saying it looks like people have been dumped. So where people are allocated land, farm dwellers are allocated land, but no complementary support programs follow through. With regard to entities, the first one was with around ARC, and these are the observations. There's no improvement in the ARC's audit opinion, but it has regressed instead. While in the previous years, the qualification was with regard to property, plant, equipment, while the qualification in previous has been in respect of property, plant, and equipment. In the year under review, Auditor General, highlighted new qualification areas. That is depreciation, amortization, irregular expenditure, and contingencies. The other observation, which it's about the need for the intervention to curb this regression around the entity's control environment, as highlighted by the Auditor General. The other area was the significant deficiencies that have manifested in the successive qualified audit opinions and non-prevention of irregular expenditure. The third concern, which is also an observation, is the increased vacancy rate from 9.7% prior year to 12.9%, and during the year that we are reporting, we're talking about 21 and 22. And if you look at what the causes, it's retirements and resignations, and committee acknowledged the vacancies and the instability at the executive management following the expiry of the contract of the former CEO and the resignation of the CFO, that these may have contributed to the entity's poor and stagnant audit outcomes. The other one was around the filling of the position of the CEO and CFO in the financial year. It's a welcome development, and from the committee side, members expressed their confidence and anticipation that there will be improvement in the audit outcomes in future. The delay in the construction of the foot and mouth disease facility was a matter that the committee was not happy about, which highlighted the impact of the delay to the development and local production of the FMD vaccine. However, the committee welcomed the report of the board regarding the appointment of service provider for such construction of the facility. The last one under the ARC was the related to underachievement with regard to performance targets in respect of human resource and the performance management in the ARC, as well as the production of blood vaccines, where for close to 50,000 vaccine doses were produced out of the planned 235,000 doses, way less. OBP, appreciation for the improvement. It is the committee's appreciation for the improvement of the OBP's audit outcome in respect of financial information, which received an unqualified audit opinion without material findings. And the entity was also commended by the Auditor General for improvement in compliance with laws and regulation, and for submitting financial statements that did not have any, misstatements. The area of improvement is with regard to performance information. That's just the area that the Auditor General raised. Again, good work around the observation around the good work in relation to the entity not incurring any fruitless and wasteful expenditure during the year under review. And for this committee, it's something that the committee can really be grateful and take pride on, because this is the area that the committee has raised in the past, and we, in this report, we are seeing good progress. The next one, which is the third for this entity, for the OBP, it's the committee's dissatisfaction with poor performance on planned targets. Linked to that is the equipment breakdown and delays in the refurbishment of the GMP vaccine manufacturing facilities. And all of these are the factors that contribute to the vaccine shortages. The approval of a new freeze dryer and a vector-proof facility, as well as assistance of a service provider for the repair and maintenance of the broken freeze dryer, was welcomed by the committee. Lack of progress in the construction of GMP facility remains a concern, as the facility is quite central to the sustainability of product development to ensure the OBP's business excellence, improved competitiveness, and subsequently its financial stability. The case between the OBP and the former CEO, and just a lengthy process of finalization of that, and the delays in appointment of a new CEO, and the high vacancy rate, 29% by the end of March. The observation of the committee are that these issues are negatively impacting the entity's performance. In addition to numerous challenges, the OBP, has the committee noted the negative impact that electricity outages has on the entity's business operation and revenue generation capacity. NAMC observation was that there is no improvement in the audit outcomes, as repeat audit findings were highlighted in respect of non-compliance with PFMA, expenditure management, lack of consequence management, non-compliance with SEM principles due to internal control deficiencies. These matters came out very strongly from the AG's report, which also, demonstrated that there were inadequate internal control processes to ensure proper consequence management. The next one is a failure to adequately address repeat audit finance, and again, lack of consequence management in terms of the expenditure. When the financial year ended, it had an irregular expenditure of 154 million due to contravention of SEM procedures. But again, the committee noted that about 148 million of the total amount, and that's the majority, was historical. So if you combine these, the irregular expenditure, fruitless and wasteful expenditure of 7.98 million, these were serious concerns for the committee. And again, the committee noted that, yes, these are historical, but these are matters that remains concern, very serious also for the Auditor General. The third one, the observation is with regard to regression in terms of achievement of performance targets. Previous reporting period, it was 100%, but the year we under review now, it's 76%. The committee noted that these were the contributing factor was the issues beyond the control of the NAMC. But however, the improvement plan, however, the committee appreciated improvement in how the NAMC presented performance information in the annual report and the presentation, where the actual service deliverables were clearly linked to the planned target. The last one under this entity was the delay by the board of the NMC to complete a full investigation as per the recommendations contained in the preliminary investigation report that was issued in February on the February 2021 on the 1st. In the investigation really was about the suspected fraud, corruption, and conflict of interest on the procurement and contract management relating to agriculture and agro-processing master plan. With regard to the PPECB, this entity has a track record of maintaining clean audits for more than a decade without fail, and the committee applauded this, including its 100% achievement of performance target for the year under consideration, despite the challenges that affected its business environment in 2021-22. And so, yeah, it was all good for this entity, for the committee. Is also commending them for the implementation of consequence management and addressing cases of irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure, efficiently during the year. The Ingonyama Trust Board, these observations emanate from mainly the findings of the Auditor General, one, inability or the failure to comply with the prescripts around procurement and contract management, and particular issues raised here, which the committee was concerned about, was not obtaining required number of quotations prior to procurement, and extension of contracts without appropriate delegation in the committee was that this can create a suitable platform for nepotism and corruption. The other observation was the creation of the Ingonyama Holdings, which is a subsidiary company of the Ingonyama Trust, and lack of financial statements of the company does not bode well for public accountability and transparency, given the ongoing discussion about accountability of the trust to Parliament and the directorship of the company adds to the complexity that the Parliament is dealing with regard to the issues of the Ingonyama Trust and the Ingonyama Trust Board. The last one under the Ingonyama Trust Board was the reports, the conclusion of an investigation into allegations of misappropriation of the Ingonyama Trust assets implicating employees of the Trust, Ingonyama Trust Board between 2017 and 2019, that these could assist to unearth some of the challenges of the ITB. The delay to release the report, which was concluded on 29 November 2021, and the corrections being made should not compromise the findings of the independent panel. The Office of the Viceroy General, the slow pace of redistribution and restitution, including finalization of labor tenants applications, has been attributed to the rejection of offers made by the Office of the Viceroy General. And if the Office of the Viceroy General does not close the loopholes and gaps resulting in the challenging of their offers, including legislative review where necessary, land redistribution might be stalled. So it's the concern about the committee being told that the department could not meet targets for land acquisition and distribution because owners and some cases payments or beneficiaries are rejecting the offers of the OVG. The last one, with regard to agricultural land holding account, the committee made note that these can be a very useful instrument to contribute to equitable access to land by those who previously would not have been able to. However, challenges relating to debt management and collection of review among the obstacles towards its efficiency. The audit outcomes were like the third qualified audit opinion for the third time in a row, shows some of the important accountability shortcomings. So we move to recommendations. I wonder if Ms. Mklashe is back to. Okay, she's not. I'll go through the recommendations. Do you want me to stop here for reflection, or must I proceed?
Please proceed.
Please
Okay.
proceed, Dr. Manenje,
Sure.
finish the report, and then we'll open up for questions of clarity as well as comments on the report.
Okay. The recommendations that the committee is making to the National Assembly for the attention of the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. For the department, the committee recommends that the minister should ensure that the accounting officer addresses repeat audit findings and reports regularly on the activities of the intergovernmental working committees that are led by the department's DGs to strengthen intergovernmental relations and integrated planning within the department and between the department and provinces. Ensure that the department engages with the internal audit unit and the chairperson of the audit committee in reviewing the department's audit improvement action plan and report to Parliament on a quarterly basis on the implementation of the actions to address specific audit findings as highlighted by the Auditor General. Submit to Parliament reports on investigations and actions that have been taken on the reported irregular expenditure of 208 million incurred in 21-22, including additional 33 million that is under assessment, as well as the fruitless and wasteful expenditure of 36 million, including additional 56 million that is under assessment. Submit to Parliament a detailed report on the implementation of PESI, including a complete breakdown of utilization of the allocated funds, the M&E plan for the implementation of the initiative, and the action plan to specifically address AXA findings on PESI. Submit a detailed report on all farmer production support units throughout the country, including details on their funding, operational activities, and area or producers that they support. Submit to Parliament a detailed report with specific activities implemented from all the funds that have been transferred to the Land Bank. And those are the Agri-BEE Fund, a total of 170 million from between 2017-18 and 21-22. Mafisa, including funds transferred and balances that are with intermediaries in all provinces. Black Producers Commercialization Program. We're talking about here about 885 million between 2017-18 and 21-22. The last one being the COVID-19 Agricultural Disaster Fund, about 100 million that was transferred in 2019-2020. Submit to Parliament comprehensive budget requirements for finalization of all labor tenants applications over a reasonable period of time. Analysis of the requirement and allocation must take into consideration the operations of the Office of the Special Master for Labor Tenants, land acquisition, and funding the required complementary development for support for labor tenants. Conduct a quick survey of all finalized labor tenant applications and farms allocated to farm workers and farm dwellers, assess development needs, as well as proposing interventions to ensure productive use of land given to labor tenants. I must say farm dwellers as well. Ensure that ALA prioritizes and conclude verification of all outstanding recap grant expenditure and ensure that all the funds that were disbursed have been allocated and accounted for. Further, submit a report to demonstrate plans to address other related matters raised by the Auditor General. With regard to the ARC, there are 4 recommendations that are being made. Ensure that the board engages regularly with the entity's executive management and audit functions to review the entity's audit improvement action plan to address the repeat audit findings that have been identified by the Auditor General of South Africa. The ARC should submit to Parliament on a quarterly basis progress on the implementation of such an improvement action plan and activities towards an improved audit outcome. The ARC should submit to Parliament reports on investigations on the stated regular expenditure of 533.9 million, including how it is addressing the specific areas that have been highlighted by the Auditor General in respect of the expenditure. Ensure that the ARC provides a progress report to Parliament on quarterly basis on the construction of the FMD facility. The last one for the ARC, the entity should fast track the filling of vacancies and submit to Parliament strategy to mitigate the impact of requirements and staff retirements and staff resignations on its research capacity and institutional memory. The OBP engage regularly with the board of the OBP to give an update on resolving the challenges associated with frequent equipment breakdowns, delays in finalization of the GMP project, as well as electricity outages which threaten the OBP's vaccine production potential and consequently revenue generation and sustainability. Ensure the OBP on a quarterly basis provide progress to Parliament on finalization of phase 1 and work on phase 2 of the GMP project, including an update on the litigation process between the entity and the former contractor for that project. Ensure the board fast tracks the appointment of the CEO and filling of other critical vacancies, as the very high vacancy rate impacts the entity's performance. The OBP should develop a service delivery improvement plan to address poor achievement of planned annual targets. And this plan should be made available for consideration by the committee. The NAMC, there are 4 recommendations for the NAMC. Again, that the minister would ensure that the NAMC engages with the entity's management and audit functions to review the entity's audit improvement action plan in order to effectively address the repeat audit findings identified by the auditor. And again, like others, the entity should submit a report to Parliament on a quarterly basis, detailing progress on the implementation of the audit improvement action plan. The NAMC, again, should submit to Parliament consequence management reports on irregular expenditure, and that expenditure which we mentioned earlier on of about 154 million, and the fruitless and wasteful expenditure of 7.98 million reported for the year under review. The NMC should submit to Parliament report on the consultant that has been appointed to investigate the irregular expenditure that the National Treasury refused to condone once it becomes available. The last one, Minister, to ensure that the board of the NAMC fast tracks the completion of the full investigation as per recommendations of the preliminary investigative report on suspected fraud, corruption, and conflict of interest on the procurement and contract management relating to agriculture and agro-processing master plan, and report to Parliament accordingly. PPECB, the recommendation here is that the entity must fast track the filling of 5 positions that will become vacant in the board once the term of the 5 board members end in November 2022. The department should provide an update on the status of the long outstanding PPEC. The Office of the Vice General to conduct a comprehensive review of factors relating to the slow pace of redistribution or land restitution, and particularly here, the role that the Office of the Valuer General plays, including the increasing trend of rejection of the offers by landowners and or payment. The ITB put in place mechanisms for effective oversight on the Inkonyama. So this is the minister again, with regards to the ITB, she must put in place mechanisms for effective oversight on the Ingonyama Transport to ensure that its operations are guided by the applicable laws and policies. Among the critical issues that should receive ministers' attentions are matters relating to the Ingonyama holdings, as raised in this report, and accountability of the Ingonyama Trust to Parliament, procurement and contract management, as well as compliance with legislation. The Ingonyama Trust Board must ensure that the report on an investigation into allegation of misappropriation of the Ingonyama Trust assets implicating employees of the Ingonyama Trust Board is complete, and the findings and recommendation must be implemented without delay. And these are the recommendations. We conclude by saying that unless otherwise indicated, responses to the above recommendations should be submitted to the National Assembly by no later than 3 months after the adoption of the report by the National Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manenje, as well as Mam Kasha, for the presentation of the BRRR report. Honorable members, there's the BRRR report as presented by the content advisors. Maybe before we open the field up for questions of clarity as well as comments, any further input from the researchers that you feel might have not been emphasized? Mam Kwabe.
Good day, Chair and members. I think the report covers all areas sufficiently. Thank you.
Thank you, Mam Kwabe. Mam Pepetega.
Good morning, members. I think I'm covered. The report covers everything, Chair.
Thank you, Mam Pepetega. Honorable members, there you have it, our BRRR report from the entire MENCO team. We will now engage in questions of clarity on the report or comments. Honorable Tape.
Thank you, Chairperson. And greetings to your good self, the team and my colleagues and everybody on the platform. Chair, let me first and foremost appreciate the report, the way it's written. The report captures the engagement we have with the department, its entities, and the AGSA. And according to my assessment, it also balances our concerns with the observations and the recommendations. So once more, the content advisors, the Secretariat and the team has done a marvelous job on this one again. I think I wouldn't have clarity seeking questions. Let me foremost and say this is our report. I agree to it. The concern for me still remains the under expenditure and the monies that were surrendered back to National Treasury, 1.1 billion. There has been an explanation from the department on the transgressor being Percy. And having listened and gone through the introductory part of this report as to why, as committees were engaged on BRRR, why do we review and make recommendations after performance assessment and service delivery? In the main, the report captures it succinctly that it is for us to make recommendations to National Treasury again for funding. And I'm sitting here, Chair, and asking myself, based on our interaction, our observations, are we able to say to National Treasury, we would recommend more funding for this department? I want to make a recollection, Chair, of the engagement with the department through the DG, especially around Percy. The committee, we express our displeasure and the undertakings and the plans that were alluded to as to how they're gonna deal with Percy moving forward, as they are still going to move forward with it. And I also saw on this report, it is indicated that underfunding is also a challenge for service delivery. It has been our take, Chair, over the time that agriculture does not have sufficient funding compared to other departments. And this is the department that usually takes even the country out of recession. We rely on agriculture when things are tough. So, Chair, my thought and my challenge here is that how do we recommend as this committee, what will be our recommendation to National Treasury? I have listened to the department explaining themselves. I have seen what they are doing, internal audits, appointing chairpersons of audits and everything. But the fact remains is that they have underspent. There are still issues of internal control weaknesses that needs to be tightened. There are still issues of non-compliance to legislation that results in your irregular expenditure into fruitless and wasteful expenditures. And there's assessments for writing off about 56.6 million that is still outstanding. So as BRRR is being put before us and we're looking at this report, what will be our main recommendation to National Treasury? And this is what I need assistance on, to say, are we confident enough based on what was explained around Percy, which has contributed to the chunk of under expenditure, that we can recommend for more funding? Chair, very on the same recommendations. 7.4 around Percy does not have a time frame. Obviously, we would want to say reasonable time. That report must be submitted, because that is where the main problem is, within under expenditure. 7.6 recommendation. I want the department to take this serious also and provide us and Parliament on with those reports, because it takes account a lot of money from previous commitments. And it has been our take, Chair, that most of the time we move with new concepts and try to forget where we're coming from with all the others. So I'm happy that we're having this recommendation on 7.6, that we would want account of everything that was disbursed previously where we are, how far are we and everything. My last thing on comment on the entities, Chair. Hey, I'm a bit worried and skeptical with Allah. And I'm asking myself sitting here, where's Allah, in fact? And the report captures it correctly to say, if Allah was something to go by, it could help even with access to land for those that are disadvantaged. But Allah seems to be struggling to deal with previous transgressions. In fact, the plan here is about Allah responding to issues raised by AG, clearing those limitations in terms of beneficiaries. So I also want to find clarity, where do we place Allah amidst of all this? Are we only looking at Allah clearing what is left behind, the mess that it found itself in, or are there any plans of Allah moving forward? And if they are, what will Allah be doing? Because it's like the concern now is only about clearing what the AG has raised. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Tape. Honorable Mamun Babama.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning to the colleagues. Chair, I do not have any comments at all. I think this report has been well put together and is a true reflection of the deliberations over there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Babama. The Honorable Memasho.
Honorable Chair. Hello.
Yes,
Honorable
we can
Chair.
hear you. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, and good day to everyone on the platform. Chairperson, I don't have any question to this report, because it's like this report is a very professional report which has been prepared. My only comment will be that the department from here, they must make sure that they go and check the issue of internal controls, so that we can be able to meet the standard of high professional. We have a high professional report that we see, but we only lack the issue of making sure that the internal controls are taken care of. As I normally used to say, Chair, you remember, I used to say to the people, let's look at the ISOs. You know what? ISO always help people to know what to do, when and how, in terms of bookkeeping principles. I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Memasho. The Honorable Ntate Matiase.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Chair. Greetings to all staff members of the Portfolio Committee. Look, Chair, I think this is the most comprehensive report we've had. I agree with Honorable Babama that it reflects the true observations, findings, and deliberations of the committee. Well, I agree with Honorable Tape that agricultural land holding account, it's a problem, and there are findings against it. Honorable Chair, well, I also appreciate the separation of the Ngonyama Trust Board and the Ngonyama Trusts. But then it would be misleading to say that the ITB has received an unqualified report, because there have been many instances of recurrence of past year non-compliance with both the legislation as well as the prescripts. So I would wish that that is corrected. Honorable Chair, is concerning that the department in overall as a as a custodian of different entities itself is not doing well, Honorable Chair. The Auditor General has found that an amount of about 2 million has been the department has been found to have been very careless and wasteful in the management of its finances. And about 32 or 33 million has been found to, the department has been found to have also wasted of that amount, which is not part of the 203 or 202. So the department is not doing well. It's not really pulling up its socks. Although there is a slight improvement from the previous financial year with how it has committed wasteful expenditure and a whole range of other transgressions. And that is a serious concern going forward, for which we'll have to raise sharply with the executive. Thank you so much, Honorable Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Matias. The Honorable Chwete.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Good morning to everybody in the meeting. Chairperson, there's nothing that I can add on the report. Captured very well. And Honorable Nhlape already stated, because the only issue that I had was the emphasis on the timeframes of the recommendations by the committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chwete. The Honorable Dr. Masipa.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, colleagues. Chair, I'm happy with the report. I just want to go to page 19. Below table 10, the statement reads as, of the 4 targets set for the financial year, the program achieved only 1, which is 25% performance rating. Yet, in terms of financial performance, the program has spent 87.9% of the total allocation of the program. Chair, I think these are some of like Dr. Matias said, that we ought to take this with the executives. It's quite concerning that you know, the spending is way higher than the achievement of the targets. And if you look at food security from 2021 to 21-22, the budget has grown from 6.9 billion to 9.7 billion, yet the targets were not achieved and they were below par. Chair, also one very important observation, and I think the content advisors can look at that, is that in 2018-2019, when we came to Parliament, the target achieved was about, the expenditure was about 98%, but target, however, achieved in terms of the programs was 70%. Then 2019 and 2020, target achieved in terms of the expenditure was about 98. And then the programs was 69%. For 2021 and 2022, the programs achieved were averaging 60%, and the budget was averaging 92, 93% in the 2 years. So, Chair, these are real serious concerns that obviously we would need to take with the executive to really find out where is this money going to, what happens with the money. Is the department just throwing money onto the programs without really ensuring that they identify, they plan the programs that are in the APP and ensure that they execute those programs? Or they just haphazardly, you know, when a program comes, they just want to really support the program without really aligning it to APP. Chair, I am covered with regards to the agri-BEE and the commercialization, because for me, that's an area that I do believe that we need to really keep a watchful eye on, because what the department has been good at, has been good at announcing programs. But in terms of implementation and ensuring that these programs have been achieved, I was going through the BRRR, found that there was a program of ensuring that the department is bringing about 1 million hectares of land in the rural areas into production. We don't know what happened to that program. We haven't really received any feedback that was supposed to have done in 2019. And I think, Chair, maybe, you know, this talk to the point that we perhaps need to look at again the legacy report to say, what happened to all these programs that were in the previous term, and how far are we in terms of achieving them? We did a KZN oversight visit. I wasn't there. What's happening there? We don't know. We don't get reports about that. The reports that we're supposed to be getting on a regular basis, like, you know, the ones that we ask, we cannot really maybe, you know, get them verbally from the department. The reports that we're supposed to be getting, we're not getting them. We get promised that we will provide you the reports in writing, we'll provide you the reports in writing. Those reports for me, Chair, are very important. So I'm just, adding some of the things that I think, Chair, they are very important if the content advisors feel that they might have to add them. And the other thing, Chair, that for me is very important is the minister's availability to engage the committee. This has been really a problem since we have been here. The minister has not really made enough time to really engage the committee on all these matters that are here. Because if you look at all these issues, that the observations that have been highlighted are the observations that are coming 2021. If you go to the report, you'll find those observations. You go to 2019, 2020, you will find the observation. All these observations have been, coming, year after year. But the question is, why is the department not really acting? Are they taking us really serious? And I think that's the big question that we have to ask ourselves. Is the department taking us serious? Are we doing really a good job as a committee? Can we really pat ourselves at the back and say, you know what, we are doing the job and we are really ensuring that programs are achieved? When we live here in the 6th Parliament, what is the legacy that we are leaving? So I think those, Chair, are really serious. We are coming to the end of our term. What is our legacy? I think we got to ask ourselves these honest questions. Chair, I think I'll stop there, but I thought it is very important that one ventilate this. These are really serious issues, and we know the struggle of our farmers, the bills that have been coming year after year. I mean, here's a bill, 2020 Marketing of Agricultural Product Amendment Bill. It's not even making as much progress. Preservation and Development of Agricultural Land Bill. It was a promise. We haven't really, we don't have any update. We can't really update and say this is what the progress is. And there are a number of issues that are just hanging in the air. So we get this program, we get that program, we get this program, we get this program. And all the time we kind of just chasing, I don't know, chasing some goals that are unplanned, are not in the programs, and we end up not really being able to achieve anything. The issue of we have got this report, we have received the BRRR. The department has launched a blended finance, and they did a big launch announcement with the IDC. We've never even gotten a report as to what is the progress with regards to that particular program. And here we are adopting the report and the very important program that is talking to commercialization of black farmers that was announced between the department and the IDC was never even presented to us. So, Chair, that's really my inputs to this. And we're still having problems with the OBP, obviously, but they are making some headways in terms of getting their finances in order. I mean, their financial reporting or their reporting of their project in order. But the farmers on the ground are still telling us we do not have enough vaccines. Chair, I'm going to stop there, but thanks to our officials really for a good report. The report is just reflecting what has been happening in 2018, 2019, 2020, 21. There is really not much difference. And again, it's really demonstrates that the department is not taking us serious. And I think we got to a point, we need to get to a point where really the department take us serious. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Dr. Masipa. The Honorable Baukaba.
Thank you, Chair. Let me also express my appreciation, welcome and appreciation of the report, that it captures what we intend to say as a committee, because this is our report. While also emphasizing and encouraging the producers of the report to continue improving. There's only one small clarity that I would need. I think this maybe is amongst ourselves. I'm worried about that part, that impasse between the department and the Treasury or AG on the part where they could not agree. And where is our position? Because I'm worried also that if that part of PEPSI can end up being an overall assessment or understanding of the performance of the department. I'd like to get this part of us clear. What is our recommendation there and what is going to assist that this cannot be repeated, because my worry is that of misunderstanding between the department and AG on the understanding that they still argue that there is no way that they could have done that better. Just that clarity, Honorable Chair. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kapa. The Honorable Ndabezit Kosenku.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Chairperson, Honorable Chairperson, all members of the committee and the support staff. I don't have a question. I don't have a comment on the report that has been presented before the portfolio committee, except to say I as well receive the report as has been reported to the portfolio committee chairperson, and I agree with the whole presentation has been reported. Thank you, Chair.
Ndabomkhulu sibamba ngazo zimbini Nkosi Cebekhulu. The Honorable Ndate Kruger.
Thank you, Chair. I'm covered by Honorable Masipa, and I agree with the rest of my colleagues. However, Chair, I think it's very important for us to get feedback about the past BRRRs, because it seems like the department is standing still on their programs. There's not a lot of movement happening, and also from where I sit, it seems like the ship is sinking, but the captain is gallivanting overseas. So, but thank you for the report. I think it's very comprehensive. Thank you, Chair.
With galloping ahead in full steam, invite Honorable Memahlati.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good morning to you, to colleagues, as well as our support staff. Chair, I wasn't sure you were saying the galloping.
Honorable Kruger is saying is galloping internationally, so I say I will gallop in full speed and invite Honorable Memahlati.
On a later note, Chair.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it is important, Slalo, to really acknowledge the work done by our committee staff in relation to this report, precisely because they have captured all the inputs that we have made throughout the term. Even going as further as making sure that the reflections and the recommendation, there is a very spot-on alignment on what is presented before us. However, there are two elements that I would want us to really look into. I see on recommendation, the very first one, they make reference to the work done by the department in as far as us following up on all the work in as far as internal audit is concerned. But I think there is there's a need for an emphasis that both risk committees and internal audit, they should be strengthened to make sure that by the time Auditor General come, much of the work has been done. Therefore, the department ought to be able to do that. Maybe from my side is an issue of an emphasis there. Secondly, Chair, when you look at the under-expenditure of the department, it focuses on two areas, one on the PESI as well as vacancy rate in the department. Of course, we are taking cognizance of the fact that the amalgamation of the two departments might have created challenges in the department, leading to a slow pace in terms of them appointing. But there is a need now in the current financial year, of course, that the BRRR that we're dealing with it has to do, it's not where we are now. But however, I think there's a need for us to make an emphasis on the fact that the department ought to be dealing with that vacancy rate as a matter of agency, and on quarterly basis when they come to the to report on the quarterly work, they should also it must be inclusive, and we ought to see progress in that particular space. But over and above, the report is quite proper. It's spot on. It's quite an exceptional work done by our team. Not that they were not doing much more good work, but it's quite impressive indeed. This report is quite impressive. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Memahlati. Honorable Montwedi, did you manage to get on the platform? Was having problems with network earlier. BRRR was also challenged with network earlier. Are you on the platform? If not, honorable members, is there any other honorable member I've not been able to recognize who may wish to sponsor a question or comment? Thank you, honorable members. With your input, it has added volume to the report that has been put together by the management committee, our content advisors and researchers, including the secretariat. We'll applaud the immense work that has been put in seeing this balanced report through. I'm left with no questions or comments on it, but rather to applaud a balanced view in the engagements that we have had with the department and its entities, as well as with the Auditor General. And it is a fully comprehensive report. For those questions of clarity that were put and comments, I will hand over now back to the content advisors and the researchers for responses, if any. Ma'am Kashe, any responses on your part?
Good morning again, Chairperson and members. I think most were comments, but in terms of time frames, I think as my colleague has indicated at the end of the report, the committee wants the responses, including where it has requested the reports within 3 months after its adoption by the National Assembly, which means it's roughly by the end of February 2023, because the House is likely to consider the reports before the end of November. Unless where it's stated that there should be quarterly reports, which means those will be continuous throughout the year, every quarter. That's the issue of time frames in respect of 7.4 and 7.6. I think Mrs. Mahlatsi on the emphasis, I think that will be added in terms of risk management as well, and the involvement of the risk committee. And the additional recommendation, I believe, for the department to address the vacancy rate, as members will also recall some of the under expenditure was due to vacancies. So they also, she has highlighted the impact of those vacancies on the department's performance, so that recommendation will be added. The comment from Tsapa, I'm not sure if it was for us, but in terms of PESI in particular, I don't recall the department disagreeing with the AG, because the AG was clear on the issues. It's for the department to act on those. I'll make an example in terms of that qualification. The AG could not obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence. The department, in this case, I will assume, as people who deal with the auditing of information on a quarterly, monthly, annual basis, they should know what appropriate audit evidence is. So for example, the AG highlighted the fact that in terms of PESI, there were no adequate internal control systems for proof of delivery of the goods to the intended beneficiaries. Even if there is a receipt that says Farmer A, I'm just making an example, received support worth 2 million. if there is no additional proof that says that, or not say 2 million, if we're talking production inputs, fertilizers or seeds worth 2 million. I assume if there is no appropriate audit evidence that shows that that farmer indeed received the seeds and fertilizers from supplier A on such a date, and they were worth 2 million. If that proof is not there, then obviously there's a qualification. The next person wouldn't know if that indeed has happened. And also another issue that I would like to highlight, that was, there were various issues that were highlighted by AG in terms of the implementation of PESI, in terms of the qualification. I'm trying to check my document now. Okay. Members will recall that for the implementation of PESI, the department used service providers, that's input suppliers. So the AG reported that there were cases where the department allowed intermediaries who did not have brick and mortar shops to be used for the redemption of the vouchers. That's, for example, I'm making myself. I'm not selling fertilizers or seeds. But if I am in the department supplier database, a farmer can use me to redeem vouchers. I think that was also a problem with the AG, where there were certain dynamics where service providers who did not have physical stores were then required to purchase goods for farmers. I think that also poses a risk for corruption and fraud. If I'm a service provider providing services that I do not have, that I also have to source from elsewhere, because eventually that will add at the cost. So I'm not sure if that explanation makes sense. And what the AG requires was the department to address those issues. And I believe in terms of the redemption, the actual redemption of vouchers, members will recall these issues were also raised with the COVID fund, where there was a possibility for a supplier to redeem the same voucher twice, because there were no system in place to ensure that a voucher, if a farmer has a voucher of 25,000 and then go to the certain supplier that is appointed by the department, there was no way of in the department's system to ensure as soon as the supplier, the farmer goes to the supplier to redeem the voucher, that voucher is marked as redeemed so that it can be used again. So there were those weaknesses that were highlighted then, and seemingly with PESI, there were still those weaknesses. However, in terms of vouchers, the department has reported that it is making use of Vodacom through an e-voucher redemption system. I think that's all that I've captured. I'm not sure if my colleague, Dr. Manenje, would like to add.
Thank you.
Dr. Manenje, any further input on your side?
No, on the questions that she addressed, I'm fully covered. I think a question or two that Honorable raises, and I understood her to be bringing that question back to the committee to say we are dealing with the budget review recommendations, what is the committee saying in terms of budget recommendations to National Treasury. And this is something that we would like to guide by the committee. With regard to questions about are there any recommendations, increase or not? Just when the committee looks at that, my contribution to that, the committee must also note that it is reflecting in this report to say that it has a concern of where there is high expenditure, but when you look at the performance target, they are not meeting that. So in a way, what will the committee be saying about that observation? So the department is not able to meet the targets, but the department wants more money. And I do understand that is in the context of money that is being sent back to the National Treasury that Honorable Shape is raising. The other way to look at this maybe is to look within programs rather than a blanket recommendation for budget increase. If there is an area where the committee might want to recommend a budget increase, if the committee looks at the work of the commission, so the commission meets, it exceeds the targets, it finishes its budget, and in a way that demonstrates to the committee to say, give us more, we will be able to do more. But not only that, the commission also has this project about becoming an autonomous entity, and that requires a bit of extra money or a lot of money actually to achieve that full autonomy. So perhaps that is an area where if the committee wants to make recommendations, would be to put that and recommend about increase for the allocation of the committee. To one, there are three reasons that the committee might put in forward. One is the issue of the autonomy and the budgetary requirements. Two, the issue that the fact that the commission meets target and it exceeds. The third one, it's the Lamusa judgment that says, well, you cannot move and deal with the new, actually an interdict to summarize, interdicting processing the new claims. So if the commission is given more money, because it demonstrates that it needs it and it can spend it, maybe it will help the commission to finalize all that what it. So that's one area which is not appearing in the report, which we put before the committee. Perhaps that's what we need to. But also we would want to hear the reflection of the committee with regards to the overall increase of the budget. The other, comment that I will make is one of the things that the annual report and the BRRR does to the committee is to this sort of reflection where the committee can look at what are areas that it should focus in future, the areas of focus. And Honorable Shape raises a question around ALA and say, what is ALA doing? And perhaps it's a matter that the committee can put in its program and say, department, we really want to get to, in-depth understanding of what's happening within ALA and program it and have a discussion around it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manenje. Any further input from our content, from our researchers? Mam Kwabe?
Nothing from my side, Chair.
Nothing from your side. You've been covered. Mam Pepetega?
Hi, Chair. I think Chikilo covered the issue of the commission, which I had also a question mark around the budget of the commission. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. As the responses on part of the content advisors and the researchers on the questions and comments that were posed by honorable members. With that said, honorable members, can we move for the adoption of the BRRR report? Any movers?
Yes, Chair.
Honorable Chwete.
Thank you, Chairperson. I move for the adoption of the BRRR that was tabled before us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chwete. Moves for the adoption of the BRRR report that was presented before the committee. And I have a second, honorable members.
Yes, Chair. Honorable
Yeah.
Mahlo.
Honorable
Yes.
Mahlo.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Mahlo is seconding the report to be adopted as a true reflection of the meeting with additions that were made and the recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mahlo. Seconds the adoption of the BRRR report that was presented before the committee as the true reflection of the engagements we've had with the department and its entities, including the Auditor General of South Africa. With that said, honorable members will set that aside and it will be tabled before Parliament. I will now request the Secretariat to assist us in the 3 minutes that we have, which we would like to adopt and dispose of. Pam Kakaza, can you flight the minutes, please? Mam Kakaza, udinga uncediso. Asikhangele ingelenge. Makade, kamncedise. Ubani usono ngoku? Dear Sin, are you gonna upload the minutes? Dear Sono, please upload the minutes.
I have tried to check. Can't you see them?
No, we only see Dear Sin. Please circulate the set of for the meeting held on the 11th October 2022.
I can look.
Perfect. Honorable members, here are the minutes of Tuesday, the 11th of October. Let us proceed. Page 1. Page 2, honorable members. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Honorable members, there's the minutes of the 11th of October 2022. Can I have a mover for the adoption of the minutes?
Yes, sir. Chair.
Yes, Honorable Baba.
I'd like to move for the adoption of the minutes of the 7th of October.
It is the 11th of October.
11th of October, sorry. 11th of
Yeah.
October, sorry, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Obama. Moves for the adoption of the minutes of the 11th of October. Can we have a second, honorable members?
Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Treasurer.
I second the adoption of the meeting, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Treasurer. Moves for seconds the adoption of the minutes of the 11th of October 2022 as a true reflection of the meeting we held. Honorable members, any matters arising? Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5.
Chair,
Yes.
sorry.
Honorable Masipa on page 4.
Yeah, on page 4, 5.1.2, the committee wanted to understand if the AG do conduct verifications on employees of the department on fit for purpose in so far as repeated findings in some programs of the department and ARC. I'm just raising this point, Chair, that maybe we need to find to flag this for maybe the department to brief us on this repeat findings, and obviously specifically with regards to fit for purpose in terms of their staff. I think it's maybe very important that we flag this and the department obviously brief us.
Thank you, Honorable Masipa. Can we note that on page 4, 5.1.2, if we can be able to follow up with the department in regards to that and be able to get a further update. Page 5, we move on, honorable members. Page 6. That's it, honorable members, with no matters, no further matters arising. The minutes of the 11th of October have been duly adopted. Thank you. Let us move on to our next set of minutes. Kapinde. There's the
You can tell Ukutu, you are so tired.
yeah, this session can be really grueling. There's honorable members, the following days meetings on the 12th of October, 2022, page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4.
There's a misspelling of in page 3. Information is spelled as information.
Please correct information to read properly as information. Thank you, Honorable Thapa. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11.
Chair.
Yes.
I think I'm just not sure. Is it page? No. I'm page 12. Sorry. It's
You're
on page
galloping
12.
full speed, huh?
Oh, sorry. I mean, it started page 11. So
you want to go in on page 11 or page 12?
I'm on page 12, but I'm just giving colleagues chance on page 11.
Page 12. You may proceed, Dr. Masipa.
Okay, Chair, I see 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. There are no timelines. However, this last one says 4.4, the department together with relevant entities to provide in writing to all other outstanding questions from members of the committee by no later than Friday, 21 October. Okay. Maybe the question is, have we received all this? I have seen some coming through, but I'm not sure if we've received all this because we are on the 25th as of today. I can't remember the ARC, but I think I've seen the OPP and ITB I haven't seen.
Thank you, Honorable Ntate Masipa. Manyamza, Amkakas, have you received any of the reports that were requested from ARC, OBP? I think Ntate Masipa has confirmed the OBP one has come through. Anything from ARC?
Thank you very much. ARC was part of the report of the department that should be submitted on the 28th of October, this coming Friday, Chair.
This
Thank
coming
you.
Friday, yeah?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yes, and Masipa, we do have our timelines and we do follow up in writing back to the entities and the department. It's the work of the Office of the Chairperson as well as Secretariat to continuously be following up on the timelines that we have set. And we'll ensure that by the 28th, the department and the ARC have been able to furnish us with a more detailed report. Let's proceed, honorable members. Page 13. That's all, honorable members, minutes of the 12th of October, 2022. Any mover for the adoption of the minutes?
I suspect you don't see my hand.
Then now it comes up, Honorable Kapa, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption of the minutes of the 12th of October 2022 as the true reflection of the proceedings of that meeting. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kapa moves for the adoption of the minutes of the 12th of October 2022. Any second, honorable members?
Chair,
Ntate Masipa.
I move to second the minutes. It's a true reflection of the 12th of October 2022. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Ntate Masipa, for seconding the adoption of the minutes of the 12th of October 2022. Honorable members, any matters arising? Page 1.
Chairperson.
Yes, Mamuchwete.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me firstly apologize. I'm not sure whether I should be raising this now or maybe in another kind of a meeting.
Is it the matters arising on these minutes?
It's partly related, Chair.
What I would probably ask, if it's not directly on a page of these minutes, can we give you a shot after we've finished with the minutes?
Thank you, Chairperson.
All right, I'll keep that in mind and then we'll come back to the issue you wanted to raise. Let's move on matters arising, honorable members, page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Page 9.
Yes, Chair, on page 9.
Go ahead, Honorable Kapa.
Can you go for me to 3.3.5?
3.3.5.
3.3.2.5.
3.3.2.5.
Yes. Or am I reading it wrong? It's about the list that was to be forwarded to the committee. In page 9. No.
Just try and read the point under what bullet point and under what heading. Which entity you looking at, Honorable Kapa?
I'm looking at the idea it was said, there's a list that are going to be forwarded to the committee. I wanted to find out if the list has been sent or it will be in the next meeting. 325.
325.
Where is page 9?
We are on page 9 right now, Honorable Kapa.
I'm making a mistake there.
It's got 3.6, 3.5 that we're dealing with, and it is the minutes of the 12th of October, 2022.
Don't we have 3.2.5? Or am I
just go up, Manyamza, to 3.2.5. Let's see if we have 3.5.2 responses by PPCB and OVG, and 3.5.1 committee deliberations on PECB as well as OVG. Must we go further up?
Probably yes, sir.
Yeah, just go back.
I wonder how would I have missed that? Yes.
3.5, 3.4, perishable products
There
export
it is, there it is,
board.
there it is, 3325.
3325, the list of farmers assisted in the year under review will be shared with the committee.
Yeah, just that one. Has it been shared or it will be shared in the future? Thank you, Chair.
Yes. Have we received that list, Manyamza?
Not yet, Chair.
Please follow up on that, and let's see if we can be able to get it timeously and share it with the members. Thank you. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Thank you, honorable members. With no further matters arising, the minutes of the 12th of October have been duly adopted. Honorable members, let's move to our last set of minutes. There's before you, honorable members, the minutes of the 20th of September, 2022. Page 1. We are on page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Honorable members, that's your minutes of the 20th of September, 2022. Can we have a mover for the adoption of the minutes?
The member stand to adopt to move for the adoption of this minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Moves for the adoption of the minutes of the 20th of September, 2022. Can we have a second, honorable members? Honorable Kapa.
Thank you, Chair. I second the move for the adoption of the minutes of the 20th of October 2022. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Kapa. Seconds the adoption of the minutes. Honorable members, any matters arising? Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4.
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Tate Masipa on page 4.
On page 4, 4.6.1. I don't think we have received the
4.6.1.
Yes, I don't think we have received this special master budget breakdown. If we can have the date and timeline, the timeline as to when we're gonna get it. On 4.6.2, the abbreviation there, the information on labor tenants was gathered from the AFRA and TAU. Can we get this abbreviation, maybe, full name, and then obviously get the abbreviation there? Yeah, I think that's it for now. Those were the 2 points.
Thank you, Honorable Tate Masipa. We'll have that properly inputted in full name instead of the abbreviations. And we will follow up and have a timeline in terms of the Special Master's Progress Report. Let's move on, honorable members, page 5. With that said, honorable members, we'll take it that the minutes of the 20th of September have been duly adopted. Any further minutes? Panyamza uphelelwe.
Yes, Chair, Ziphelile.
Ziphelile. Thank you. Honorable members, I did indicate to Honorable Treasurer, we'll come back to her in the matter she wanted to raise. Let us take that. Honorable Treasurer.
Thank you, Chairperson. Perhaps maybe you were correct to divert my concern to a later stage. Chairperson, I've been noticing or noting that even in the past few minutes and the previous ones, the glaring absenteeism of the Deputy Minister, Skwatsha, in attendance of a portfolio committee meetings. I'm raising this, Chair, precisely on one reason. The issues highlighted by the committee and the issues raised by Auditor General on the issue of understanding and performance in relation to land administration, land development, and all those other programs that we raised sharply as the committee. Maybe, Chair, as the committee, we need to raise this with the minister and seek to be engaged on how do we deal with this? Because, Chair, there is an underperformance, increasing underspending and over and wasteful expenditure on the programs that are directly under ODM Skwatsha. I'm raising this, Chair, in the view that there might be a link where there is no accountability in terms of taking the committee into confidence as to what has happened. Maybe, Chair, we need to take this further and be engaged and be taken through as to what is happening and how are we going to deal with it. As much as we're saying we need to implement the recommendation of AG and our report and staff, but we have omitted the element of accountability of the executives. That is what I wanted to raise, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Treasurer, for raising the matter. And honorable members, I would not want to perhaps personalize it or individualize it. I want to speak broadly in terms of the ministry and its attendance of our meetings. We will request upon the Secretariat to engage directly through my office with the Minister's office and impress on them that we can no longer accept having meetings that have to do with official, departmental, and department entities' business without the executive in attendance. I think even if the minister will not be in attendance, must be made sure that at least one of the deputy ministers is in attendance. We are one of the fortunate portfolio committees to have in the department 2 deputy ministers. So we would make a request that all the executive align their diaries if they are to be found attending to other affairs of government. They should at least make sure one of them is available for the committee meetings so that we can be able to have their full input in the work that we do. After all, it is to this committee that the executive accounts to, and therefore we should be able to call upon them, particularly when we have sent them the program in good time. They are able to plan for the meetings in good time and ensure that they will be able to allocate themselves timeously as to who will be attending the meetings. So we note that, Honorable Treasurer, and appreciate that you've been able to remind us to hold the executive accountable. Any further input, honorable members? You may wish to direct to the chair and the management committee in particular. If not, that brings us to the end of our session, honorable members. We would like to thank you all for participating and engaging with the BRRR report and the minutes that we have put before you. But most importantly, I want to thank our staff, the content advisors, and the researchers, the secretariat, as well as the logistics team that work behind the shadows to ensure that we are able to compile the minutes of the meetings that we continuously have and are able to bring out a report that we can be able to present before Parliament. We want to thank you all, honorable members, and remind you that we do have a hybrid plenary session this afternoon at 2 o'clock in Parliament. And tomorrow we'll have a sitting session with the midterm budget review in the City Hall of Cape Town. So those that will be in attendance, please note that it will be in the City Hall, and ensure that you arrive there on time. I want to wish you all a fabulous afternoon and a great week ahead. Enjoy the time with your loved ones, and we'll see you again in our next session. Take care and stay blessed.
Enkosi Chair.
And goes, come on.
Thank you,
Chair.
Siyaduma uphelile umuntu unyaka uphele ngoku.
Uphela nawe.
Yeah.
Chair, I'm around.
You see, I'm a fighter today.
You're around, eh?
I'm a fighter today.
For our thing, Chairman.
Yes. Yes, I've noticed that. If I don't see you today, I might be on a hybrid because I've got another commitment. So I might be on hybrid, but definitely tomorrow I'll see you.
Wonderful.
Are you around?
Yes, Chair.
Just around the corner, you are here.
Yes, I'm here.
I am coming to knock right now.
All right.
I'll bring your scarf over.
Thank you.
Are you
So
going
she
into
can
the
bring
house this
mine.
afternoon?
I didn't want to voice out for why am I looking for you. So if you don't have enough for this committee, it's a problem.
Okay. I'll be mute. Right. Bye. Bye.
Andifuna ukubulisa nje molweni bahlali.